Your Money, sponsored by Noble Gold.
Another new inflation report on Friday, expected to show prices continuing to climb. We're joined this morning by Colin Plume, founder and CEO of Noble Gold Investments, to talk a little about what's ahead. Colin, welcome back to the National Desk.
Thank you. Good morning.
So we get our second read on inflation this month with the Personal Consumption Expenditures report that's due out tomorrow, one of two inflation reports that we track here at the National Desk, the other being the Consumer Price Index, which currently shows inflation in the U.S. right now at 8.5%, well above the Fed's 2% target rate. The question I keep hearing is, how much longer do we have to live with this? Do you see any relief in sight?
No, I don't. And I don't think anything is going to come shocking this week from the Fed. What we need to look at now is, how do you replace that income, that 8.5%, which could be anywhere from $400 to $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. So I think the thing to look at is where do you get that income from? And I think the perfect place is this gig economy. There are so many gig jobs that are available right now that pay a lot higher than people would be assume. Proofreading, content writing, all of these things are in high demand, and you're getting anywhere from 18 all the way up to $30 an hour for these kind of skills. Obviously, there's Uber and all of those things, and then there's a lot of things where people are renting out a guest house or an extra room in their house, and those people are making up that extra $400 to $1,500 a month with this great gig economy. So I think we should assume it's going to stay high and look for ways to replace that income and keep up with inflation.
Yeah, and we had a report out from Bankrate just yesterday saying roughly 24% of adults are actually looking for additional income right now. Fed Chair Jerome Powell expected to deliver a speech in Wyoming tomorrow. There will be a lot of eyes on that to see what he says. What would you expect or maybe even like to hear him say?
Well, I'd love to hear him say that they're not going to continue to raise rates and maybe they're going to do a reversal, but I don't anticipate that so quickly, because I still think we're having supply issues. We're still seeing inflation at a very high number. So they're not going to back off. They obviously want to slow down the economy, and that's what they're doing by having these pretty dramatic rate increases. So I don't expect anything shocking. I think a lot of it is what we're seeing is a lot of the economy is sort of baked in. The stock market's sort of baked in with all these rate increases. So I think it's going to be pretty much status quo from Jerome Powell.
And even if the Fed was able to, say, cut inflation in half right now, get it down to the 4 to 5% range, what's the impact on the average American still?
Well, that's still a pretty dramatic increase from the 2%. That's what the norm is. That's what the Fed needs to hit. So even a 4 or 5% number is still pretty dramatic, and that's going to put a strain on the average American. So we have to look at alternatives, and that's why I believe that it is a perfect time for people to look up and see some of these gig jobs. The other thing is, maybe cut some of these bills. There's companies out there that will look at some of these expenses, Netflix, some of these things that maybe you're not using, subscriptions. I mean, you're probably looking at $50 to $100 a month there too. So adding an extra 1 day a week job, cutting some subscriptions can probably do the best thing for you in the short term and also probably in the long term.
I got less than 60 seconds left here. A lot of Wall Street jitters this week. The Dow had its worst day since June on Monday. What's your advice for investors? Are there any good options or opportunities out there right now in this kind of market?
Yeah, I think anything that's good against inflation. I think precious metals, gold and silver right now are poised. I think they're at very low levels. We've had dramatic sell-offs. We've had overselling of gold and silver. So I think that the opportunities in precious metals are going to be pretty dramatic over the next 12 to 18 months.
All right, Colin Plume with Noble Gold Investments. Thanks so much for joining us here on the National Desk.
Thank you so much.